I chose that song, may I suggest, because, as you all know, my husband died in February. And for me, it was very hard to look at the now as the best part of my life because it didn't feel like it. And yet, I know he's still with me. I know he's here around me. So this helped me get through that time when I cried half the day, every day. So I can hear it now and sing it now without crying, but it's hard. It's only been 6 months, so it's still fresh. And I'm still trying to decide what to do with my life. When I chose the theme for today's talk, when we were planted, it was because I knew I needed to do that. And I wanted to talk about that. But I kind of got blocked a little bit. Like, how am I going to get this talk? I don't know. I know what I want to say, but it just sounds like what everyone says, So I went to my Mary deck. And as I was laying the deck out to choose a card, I heard the word 3. That's that listening, understanding. Oh yeah, okay, 3. I'm supposed to do a 3-card draw. Well, when you're working with oracle cards or tarot cards or whatever, a 3-card layout generally indicates the first card is for the past or what the problem is. And I'm always amazed how this works. It's so perfect. Because once again, I was surprised at the first card I got. Okay, so here it is, very beautiful card. And it says, I no longer cling to past hurts. I accept that they have served me in some way. I move on. So here I am, kids, moving on. So that was the first card. But part of what I normally do in my talks here is share an energy technique that will help you in your lives. Okay. One of the problems that we all face is that our vagus nerve, the vagus nerve is the nerve that goes from your spine to your jaw and to every organ in your body. And it tends to do what they call wind up. It gets all wound up, and pretty soon you're really tense and you don't know what to do with it and you can't get rid of it. It's part of you. Okay. Well, there's an energy technique that allows you to calm the vagus nerve. It's 2 parts. One is breathing and one is a hold. So it's like acupressure. So we're going to start with that because what I'd like you to do is get unwound. We're going to start by being unwound. And that's hard for me because I'm all wound up here. So we'll start by learning the hold. Okay. What you do is put your thumbs behind your earlobes. So everybody put your thumbs behind your earlobes. Okay. And you're connecting with that vagus nerve back there. And then your fingers go on your temple, and then your palms rest on your jaw. Now, if this is all you did, this would help. Do you feel how cared for you are when you're holding your cheeks like this? It's very peaceful, it's very calming, especially if you do a mantra while you're doing it. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to do some breathing. So to do the breathing, we're going to practice it first, and then we'll put it with the hold. Okay. So for some reason, nobody knows why, the vagus nerve responds to breath that's the inhale is shorter than the exhale. So we're going to inhale to the count of 4. So you'll just go 2, 3, 4. And then hold it for 6. And you hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, And then you blow it out against pressure. So you put your tongue against your teeth, like that, and breathe out for 8. So very simple. Breathe in for 4, hold for 6, breathe out against pressure for 8. Okay, should we try it together? Okay, breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Blow out. And then we breathe in again. Okay, we're going to add that to the hold. So put your thumbs behind your ears, your fingers on your temples, and your hands on your cheek, your palms on your cheek. So breathe in for 4. Hold for 6. 3, 4, 5. Breathe out for 8. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 6. And blow out for 8. And you should be a pile of mush. When I do this, I do it at night because it helps me go to sleep. I also do it if I'm also facing some struggle, something's going on, and I need to calm down. And then sometimes I add an affirmation to it, but not always. It just depends on where I am and what I'm doing. All right. Whew. Then I want to share with you the second card that I drew. This is really cool. It is this beautiful picture of Mary. I love the colors. Someone, did I ever turn that on? I did. Okay. So this one, and you notice they all have affirmations on them, so your card has an affirmation as well. This one says, the radiance of my life's blossoms depend on how I tend my garden. Wow, that is pretty cool. So let's talk about that garden bit. When I pictured this, I pictured myself as a potted plant. And I thought, oh, I've got everything I need in my potted plant. I've got in my soil, I've got nourishment, I've got spirit, I've got love, joy. Whatever it is that I'm needing is in my pot. But this is a really special pot because it goes with you wherever you go. You get to take your pot along. So it's always with you. So think of it as something that you can tend because you have to tend it. And part of tending it is asking for help. If you don't ask, you don't get it. Or it may come, but just kind of slides in there and you're not paying any attention. When you ask for help, and Donna said something along these lines, I think, that if you ask for help, be ready for the answer. Because if you're not ready, it could pass you by. I remember back when I was learning about talking to spirit and how to be effective with it. One of the first things I learned was be ready. Because when you ask, sometimes the answer is so loud and so right, it's for you now. You may hear the answer right away, like I did with these cards. And in that case, you better be ready to do it. And if you're not ready, don't ask. I used to do automatic writing, and I would do it for other people. So somebody would come to me and say, could you talk to spirit for me. Can we do something? I have this question, blah, 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 whatever it is. And I would do some automatic writing and contact spirit, and they're there and they're listening. They're hearing exactly what I'm hearing because I write it down. And then they said, "Oh, I don't believe that." I can't tell you how many times that happened. So I stopped doing it because I really and truly felt like they were wasting this golden opportunity to hear from spirit what it is that they should pay attention to. And they were doing it. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore, so I stopped. But then I started doing energy medicine, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. But again, I would help people. They would feel better. I had one woman that she had arthritis in her knee. I worked on her knee, and then she and I had gone shopping at Sequim's, and we had a cart full of plant stuff. So we put it in the car, and the return for the cart was all the way across the parking lot. She ran as she took that back, and she ran back to the car, and I said, "Did you notice what you did?" And she said, "What?" And I said, "You ran. When you first got here today, you could not walk, and you ran." Okay, well, like within 6 months it was back, because she wasn't doing any of the work that I assigned her. And that is so true with people. They don't necessarily do what you suggest. You don't ever tell them what to do, but what you suggest. They don't always listen. So this is part of tending your soil, asking and listening. And it doesn't always come in the way that you think it will. Okay, so I looked at my own life as I was talking about this. And I realized that I had been a caretaker for my husband for 5 or 6 years, long time. And of course, COVID was in there. So I didn't have any help from outside, and I had to be there. So my energy practice went, because it's hard to work on someone when you're constantly listening for someone who might need you, or if you can't stay focused, you can't work on people. The only thing I did during that time was do distance work, which means you can do it from wherever you are. And I thought, do I want to restart my energy practice? I don't know. It seems like a lot of work. I'm 70 years old. I don't want to work full time, So I was thinking to myself, oh, this is something I could plan. Distance work. I can do distance work. So I'm visioning this stem growing up from my pot, and there's a big blossom on the end. And that is my choice to do distance work, to continue with what I had been doing, but as people needed and as I'm able. I don't have to set a schedule. I don't have to advertise. I can just say to spirit, I'm ready to do more distance work, and pay attention. Okay, I'm back in my pot again. Because one blossom isn't enough. Not for me. What else could I do? Well, I love to sing. I've sang in the Sweet Adelines for 10 years. Loved it. But it got old, and I didn't want to sing the same songs over and over and over and over and over and over, which you do in Sweet Adelines. They have to be perfect. But what I've always wanted to do and haven't been able to do is to sing in a mixed quartet, meaning guys and women. I want to be in either a quartet or like an octet, something like small group with men and women. I've never asked for that before. I'm 10 in my solo, boy. I'm going to get myself in a mixed quartet, and I'm going to put out beautiful musical flowers. What else? You know, I've always been very busy caretaking my entire life. You know, I never lived alone. This is my first time living alone, and the first time not having anybody to care for. So, gosh, it feels like I have to start completely over. So that's why I need my potted plant. I need it to go with me. I'm taking it over here. I know there's something I wanted to do for a long time, and I haven't done it. And that's kayak. I had a friend in 10, 15 years ago when we were living in Leavenworth, Washington. And she and her husband went on a trip to Lake Powell on a houseboat. And they had kayaks. And they would go to the various canyons and kayak canyons. I was so envious. I wanted to do that. But it was very expensive. I couldn't afford that. Well, now I think I could do that with my family, if everybody shares in it, you know. My son is so excited he wants to do that. My daughter and her family, they're ready to do that. My sister wants to join in. Yeah, we're gonna do this. That'll put out a really nice flower, don't you think? Yeah. Okay. Well, time for the third card. My third card in my drawing was supposed to be about the future, so to speak. But I am supported in countless ways to co-create my life day by day. Isn't that perfect? You know, I couldn't have asked. Well, I did ask. I asked for help, and this is what I got. It not only helped me to know what I wanted to say today, but it also gave me a way to help myself decide, what am I going to do with my life now? I'm not looking for another man. Darn. I think it's time to live alone for a while. I do rent out my basement. But, you know, that's separate. But on the other hand, I got COVID, and my renter ran errands for me. She went and got what I needed, you know. So I do have somebody in my life who is, you know, there if I have to have something. But I think it's time I learned to stand on my own 2 feet in my pot. So my message to you today is to ask for what you need. So many times we don't think to ask. So I've got all of my decks. I have several decks. I'm sort of a oracle cardaholic. I love these things. So I have all my decks out there on the cupboard beside my dining room table. That seems to be where I spend most of my time, is at my dining room table. So I can ask for help whenever I want. Or I could get my notebook out and do a little automatic writing. It always amazes me how capable each one of us is of contacting spirit, of listening to spirit, of hearing it in our hearts. Until I met my husband, I didn't have any spiritual beliefs. I was in my 40s. I was raised a Catholic, which was very guilt-driven, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I basically had no spiritual connections. And eventually I went looking for it. Not because I wanted a spiritual connection necessarily, but I wanted a family. I wanted other women that connected with each other. The trouble is, I didn't believe anything that they did. It was really hard. Well, when I met Dwight, Dwight was into AA and Course in Miracles. And we started doing daily readings. And we would talk about what we believed. And I gradually did that thing they're always telling you in AA to do. Fake it till you make it. And I did, because I really had no belief system. So it was very wonderful to talk this over with him every day. He had his beliefs. He'd been there and done all of his work, which I highly recommend, by the way, if you marry someone who's done their work. Try to do your own too, but so I gradually came to the point where I am today with communicating with spirit. And the energy work, when I first started doing energy work, I didn't know I was going to touch anyone. I thought it was just all, magic or something, I don't know. But when I did it, I was doing it with my sister, and my sister had been psychic all her life, but I never knew that until then. It wasn't something you shared in those days, That's a little out there, shall we say. Well, she believed in me. I didn't. When I first started, I couldn't feel anything. I didn't feel any heat in my hands. What do you mean? What are you feeling? What do you think? I didn't understand. Eventually, I came to the point where I not only felt things, I heard things. I'm working on someone, and I'm testing for something in her shoulder, which at that point on your body is your lung point. So I thought it was something to do with lungs. And I hear in my head, radiant circuits. It just popped in there. Sure enough, that's what it was. It wasn't lung. It was radiant circuit. So I just gradually got to the point where I could hear, could feel, could do everything that I needed to do for the energy medicine. And the reason I'm telling you this is my sister died last year. Oh, I was so angry. I was angry at her because nobody knew she was going to die. I mean, she didn't tell anyone that she wasn't feeling well. She's 2 years younger than I am. She wasn't supposed to go yet. And plus, we'd always had this vision that we were going to practice energy medicine together. Well, guess what? We still can't, because she's right here. She's right here. Dwight's right here. He's got his arm around me. So, honestly, there's nothing better than turning to spirit for help. Whether you do it with cards or you just sit and pray, you sit in meditation, whatever it is, be open to the possibilities. And it will come. I guarantee it will come. Just not always in the way you expect it. Like, my sister wasn't supposed to die. Fortunately, my other sister is still here. Anyway, bloom where you're planted, but tend your garden. Whatever that means to you. And to me, that means encouraging love, kindness, peace, as much as possible, and being open to what Spirit has to say. So if you will take your Mary card, and you don't have to read it out loud, but read your affirmation. and make that part of your day today. By the way, you can keep these cards if you so choose. If you don't want to, you can put it back in the deck. These cards, my Mary deck, I love these cards. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, I started giving them away as, oh, it's your birthday, and pull a card for that person. Here's your card for the day. And it's not a complete deck anymore. So I had to buy another one. I ordered a new deck. So you can keep the one you have if you so choose, or you can put it back in the basket. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I hope you got something out of today's visit. I don't know what comes next.
Yeah.
Renee does. All right, Renee. Well, thank you all, and I'm
so
sure I'll see you
today,
again soon.
at this time, we are now going to